Hi everyone, this is Dan and this is Thomas Valiant by RJ Shaw, art by Renzo Rodriguez. And this is a video I actually didn't really want to do, and you'll see pretty shortly here. So Thomas Valiant was a Indiegogo campaign. I forget how long ago it was. I think it was maybe like 7 or 8 months ago. I don't remember waiting too long for this. I think RJ did a pretty good job of getting this out. He was the one who ran the campaign and basically is the driving force behind this book. For those of you who don't know, most of you who comment on my channel do, because you usually watch his videos. He has a YouTube channel called The Fourth Age. Makes a lot of commentary on comics, culture, that kind of stuff. He's kind of what you would call a mostly political culture. He definitely has a very conservative slant to his YouTube channel. And he started this Indiegogo campaign to kind of publish what, he kind of marketed as his, vision of what a hero comic should be in the modern era, right? And as you shall see, as I go through this book, you might want to work on that a little bit. So anyway, let's just go through kind of the basics. It came with the poster. I put the poster away, but packaging was excellent. It was in a Gemini mailer, nothing to complain about. Overall print quality is excellent. Very interesting. He chose to use a much thinner paper stock for the cover than most people. He also chose, so this is a perfect binding, he also chose a crease on the binding, which I tend to prefer, but only if you have large gutters or borders in your comic book design. So these creases right here are really desirable for books that you're going to read a lot. And obviously they're really desirable for regular prose books because most of the time in a prose book, the text just comes down on the side and there's nothing in the interior. The problem with these crease style designs for these type of books, and I'll show you right here in literally the first page, is when you have a double page spread. So check this out. What's the problem here? Because I've folded this open as far as it will go, right? And if I push this any further, it will damage the book. And as you can see, I'm literally missing an entire superhero in here. Like there's a character right here in the middle that you can't even see because of the crease design of this book. And this is, yet another reason why, if you are going to do these type of books with massive double page spreads or, crossing panels and stuff like that, you should strongly consider trying to keep the story within a saddle stitching, or go with a perfect binding style that allows you to fold it open. It will reduce the longevity of the book, obviously, just because you're gonna be stressing the binding more and whatnot. But yeah, it's just something to think about. So yeah, overall, I guess I'll go over the good of this book. Art is fantastic. I mean, a lot of you guys recognize Renzo Rodriguez. He's done a lot of books for your boy Zach. Great artist. Do enjoy his work. Like I've said before, his art very much reminds me of the adult animation Archer, which is a good thing. I actually like the animation on Archer, so that's not bagging on him. His art is definitely getting better and better. And there's a few scenes here, like obviously the perspective here just looks a little odd. In general, I'm not a big fan of this opening double page spread, and I never really liked it even in his campaign page. This double page spread actually kind of made me not want to back it just because it just seemed way too busy. And it was like one of those books where I was like, what is this book going to be? Is this book going to be, some kind of superhero fan fiction? Spoiler alert, it is. But but overall, like look at some of these other pages right here. Like this is great stuff right here. This is basically like modern, DC Marvel level. Well, I wouldn't say like the bad artists. I'm talking about their higher quality artists. So, a lot of props to Renzo right here. His art just gets better and better. Obviously, he's very good at drawing the human figure. Action-wise, he's getting a little better. And I think sometimes his posing, needs like some of these panels right here, they look a little awkward. But otherwise, like, I got no complaints about Renzo's stuff. Excellent artwork right here. Other than that, quality's good. Lettering's by Eric Weathers, so it's his usual typical kind of stuff. Nothing really bad to complain about. Coloring looks excellent. Yeah. So let's get into this. So some of the problems with this book. So Thomas Valiant is basically superhero fan fiction, and unfortunately not the good kind. So one of the biggest problems that immediately irked me when I got into this book was just how obvious the characters are an illusion or just a straight ripoff of Marvel DC characters. It's actually really, really bad in some instances, and it really takes me out of the story, like immediately takes me out of the story, and it's really tough for me to get through with a lot of these characters. The other biggest problem with this book is the severe lack of explanation for what the background is on any of this stuff. Now, you could argue like, oh, well, you could read these. I mean, here's the deal. If I take this book and I take it at its face value, the book should be able to sufficiently explain to me the background and the motivations of the characters, right? Because otherwise the plot has no meaning. That's why character introductions and setting is on the first stage of any dramatic structure, right? You cannot really have a lot of interest in rising actions or climaxes if you don't understand the characters, the motivations, and the setting at which they're in. All of that is integral into a story, right? And the problem with Thomas Valiant is we're kind of introduced to this character, and I'll just use Thomas Valiant as an example. All of the characters in this book have this problem. The vast majority of them worse than even the main character, Thomas Valiant. The biggest problem that we have here is we're introduced to him. It's like, formerly a member of the Legion of Justice, the hero once known as Putty Man has been cast aside by his mentor and branded a traitor by those he fought beside. But gathering together his own team, he will prove to the world that he's worthy of the title hero, a man of many shapes, secrets, faces. He is Thomas Valiant. So this opening right here is like something that you would use when you're in the middle of like a 100-issue run. And Thomas Valiant basically suffers from the same problem many other books currently out, these superhero books, both from CG and outside of CG, I should say. And that they want all the feeling and all the payoff of a long-running superhero comic with none of the hard work of building up the setting, the characters, the origins, etc., right? So, I mean, what does this mean to me? This is the first time I'm seeing the character, and he's on his knees kind of like crying to himself. Why? Why is he doing this? What is the Legion of Justice? Why was he cast aside by his mentor? Why is he named the Putty Man? Why is he branded a traitor? Why has he gathered up his own team? Is this his own team, or is this his team? I don't know. These like little character panels right here don't really explain who these characters are. They just say, hey, this is their name, so I don't have to explain who they are later on in the book, which probably you should, because, again, right? Why is he trying to prove himself a man worthy of the title hero? What are his shapes, secrets, faces? What are his powers? How do they work? So basically, this book kind of assumes that you know a lot about superheroes already. You already know about Marvel superheroes. You already know about DC superheroes. And so RJ doesn't have to go through the, painful task of explaining what these characters' powers are, etc. You just know that because you're a comic nerd. And I think it's a really bad approach. It's a really, really bad approach. And the other weakness of this book is I want to show you this right here. Writer, editor, RJ Shaw. So you guys already know my feelings about a writer being their own editor. I think it is a bad idea. I think it's a very bad idea. And it usually ends in disaster because most writers, they're just in a creative stage. They're trying to get, characters, plots, concepts, scenes together. And the reason for the editor is to basically be someone who represents the reader and attempts to make sure that the writer is sufficiently crafting a story that a reader can follow. Like, a lot of us come up with like crazy ideas, interesting scenes, emotional, gut-wrenching, lines of dialogue. But if it's not put together in a format that a reader can understand, it doesn't really matter, right? And this book is a great example of it. Just things happen in this book, and I don't know why they happen or where they happen or when they happen, right? What's the timeline for this? Where is this? There's no setting for this. Is this in New York? Is it not New York? I don't know. I mean, I guess these statues, maybe it is. Who are these characters? Well, you're supposed to read this. Well, okay. Tells me this is Tecton. Who is Tecton? Like, what does he do? I don't even know enough about Thomas Valiant. That's the main character, right? Who is Phantasm? Who is, besides being a Kitty Pryde ripoff? Who is Feral, despite being, other than being a Wolfsbane ripoff, right? Who are these characters, right? Why is this stuff happening? Why is this chick on discs? Why is this chick shooting snakes out? Things just happen for the sake of happening, and don't worry about it. Just enjoy the spectacle. And it's not good storytelling. It's actually honestly like tier 1 like fan fiction storytelling, right? It's assuming the reader knows everything about it. And what ends up happening is that I literally could not give this book to anyone. And I'm not trying to be mean to RJ. I like his channel. I like a lot of his videos, but you can't give this book to anyone because they're going to be asking like immediately a bunch of questions like, wait, why? What is going on? Why is this happening? Where is this happening? When is this happening? Like, you shouldn't be able to ask those questions, the fundamental questions: who, what, when, where, why, how, etc., and not have some fundamental answers within the beginning of the book, right? Just to get you satiated. You don't have to spend a ton of time on it. You don't have to do, even go full Jim Shooter Chris Claremont and really do the classic, Marvel introduction. Even though I think people should do it, or at least practice it. But yeah, so let me try to explain the plot here. Basically, Thomas Valiant and his team basically get into this fight with this other superhero team. I think they're a part of the Legion of Justice. I don't know. And they get into a fight, and then basically Batman and his Bat family chase him down in the streets, and they get into a fight, and then Thomas Valiant's able to basically hide using his powers, which are kind of undefined. It's like, I think it's Mr. Fantastic's powers. Maybe it's Plastic Man's powers. Maybe it's a bunch of other powers. I'm not really sure. Don't really care. Batman and Superman show up to kind of fight him, and then he runs off to the other side of the city, which apparently these superheroes can't go to the other side of the city. I actually don't know why that's so. It's just the ending of this kind of thing that, oh, he got away. Okay, I guess he got away. Then we got sort of the opener right here, which doesn't actually explain who Thomas Valiant is. It's just kind of like, honestly, man, like I've read this a couple times because I was trying to see if this was like actually introducing him to a degree. Other than saying that he was a soldier and a spy, it's a lot of nothing burgers. And, I guess we're in America, because there's an American flag right here. I don't know. It's not really said. So, I guess we're just going to go with it. So the rest of the book is basically a heist, which, yeah, who would have thought? You open up a book about superheroes, and they're basically, Ocean's 11 here with these characters right here. So they all get into a heist, and we actually don't even know what they're trying to steal. They're just on some mission. And it's not really revealed till they're way in here that they're trying to, and a bunch of other silly stuff, and these really annoying corkscrew panels. Like, I don't know if this was RJ's idea or Renzo Rodriguez's idea, but basically you have to read the panel going like this and then rotates around to the center. It's actually kind of painful. I don't know why they just didn't make different panels or smaller panels. I don't know. I thought this, and he uses it a couple more times. I think it's kind of unnecessary. That's just me. But anyway, apparently they're stealing these statues. Why these statues are important, I actually don't know. Why they're in a vault, I don't know. But we'll just, just go with it. And eventually they have some elaborate plan to use Kitty Pryde's phasing power and Wolfsbane to drag out their stuff. And I guess this chick is kind of like Scarlet Witch or something like Scarlet Witch. I don't know. I don't even remember what this character's name is, honestly. And then there's another character, Pulse, who's got like superpowers. He kind of looks like a discount Iron Fist. So they end up escaping, and superheroes chase after them. And then apparently Thor attacks them. Except Thor looks really weird. He looks like a Roman legionnaire with like an English crown helmet. So I was kind of like, wait, why didn't you just make Thor look like Thor? It's not like Marvel has like, full control of what the actual Norse god of thunder can look like, right? But yeah, anyway, they get into a fight, and apparently one of the characters in his team gets killed, and it's kind of supposed to be like a very emotional scene, but it ends up just feeling kind of unearned. And they eventually go back with the They are able to escape with the statues that they stole to some unknown hideout in the mountains. And everyone kind of chews out Thomas Valiant, probably rightfully so for being a dumbass. And this entire time you're kind of like, well, wait a minute, they just stole a bunch of statues. How exactly are they heroes? I don't know. Nobody knows. So, what is it? This guy looks like Hell Priest from Jawbreakers. Or is it like Matt Murdock? I don't know. So, yeah, this dude, Ostrich, ends up dying. His wife slaps him. And then he says, oh, use my death as like, a rallying point for the Valiant heroes, whatever this team of thieves are. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of like the first Avengers movie, where who's his name's character dies, and it's like, oh, they need a rallying point for all the heroes. It's like very Joss Whedon. And then you get a couple previews for some other stuff. Great art, by the way. Oh, man, this is like, when I saw this panel, by the way, like, I get it was supposed to be cool, but I was like, oh, so he's Batman and Wolverine. So I think you get the gist right here. This is a very expensive fan fiction. And again, nothing personal to RJ. I think my recommendations are to hire an editor and really focus on maybe less characters. Try to focus the story in on the characters you actually care about and really want to explore, and have them kind of work towards one common enemy at a time. Kind of like classic Marvel and DC comics, of the era, right? And have like 50 characters in one book. They usually just had, a couple villains at a time. Something to think about, right? But yeah, I do not recommend Thomas Valiant. I think depending on, future works, right? There's probably some better books out there. Especially don't recommend it for the price. I mean, even though this is pretty good, it's 80 pages of content. So not bad, but as you can see, he's not exactly packing a ton of story in every single page. So, 80 pages barely covers this mission they have, and it doesn't sufficiently explain the background or the setting or really anything in this world. Like, I have no idea what this world is. I still don't know what the Legion of Justice is. Is it actually a Justice League? Is that what it is? Or are we just sort of assuming it's a Justice League? I don't know. It's perplexing and a little frustrating. But yeah, so that's the review, guys. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. If you got any comments on Thomas Valiant, leave it down below, and I will see you next time.